Thank you for joining us. This is David with EMNR, and we are here with Pastor James Pittman, who's going to be speaking at one of the plenary sessions at our upcoming EMNR Conference 2025. So, sir, welcome. Thank you for joining us, and please introduce yourself a little bit.
Thank you, sir. My name is James Pittman. I'm the senior pastor of New Hope Community Church in Palatine, Illinois. I'm also a member of the Christian Emergency League. It's a group of pastors in the northwest suburbs of Chicago that are engaging the culture from a biblical perspective and encouraging other churches and other Christian ministries to engage the culture the way the apostles did from a biblical standpoint, preaching truth in the culture.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, so you're going to be speaking the very first plenary on Friday afternoon.
Correct.
The title of your message is Challenging the Culture with Their Own Language. Tell us a little bit about that, please.
All right. The reason why that came up as I was speaking with Don is because we New Hope Community Church in Palatine, what we do oftentimes is we challenge the culture, and we invade the culture using words that they can understand. Let me explain what I'm saying. A lot of times, churches and ministries like to use these Christianese terms. You know, God is omnipresent, He's omnipotent, and the dispensationalist and the covenant. And you use these Christianese big-time words, and most people don't know what you're talking about. And sometimes people think pastors do that because they're ignorant and naive. They're not ignorant and naive. They do it on purpose, because they speak in such a way to where they can't connect with the culture so that the culture will not get upset with them so that people can like them. But if you look at the scriptures, you look at Jesus, you look at the apostles, you look at the apostle Paul, they used words that was easily understandable to the people they were talking to. That's why Jesus spoke in parables. He used these heavy theological terms. He used parables to relate to them. So, right around when Don wanted me to speak, we had on our church sign, hell has strict immigration laws. I'm sorry. Heaven has strict immigration laws, but hell has open borders.
Yep.
See, we use the language that's hot at the time to try to the parabolic language to try to engage the culture. Oh, they went crazy. They said we were attacking immigrants, and I said, we're talking about immigration as it pertains to heaven and hell. We're not talking about Mexico and Canada and United States of America. We're using your language to communicate spiritual truth. Not everybody goes to heaven. Not everybody goes to heaven. It's those who come in contact with the grace of God and responds and repents. Christ is Lord, by de facto becomes your Savior. But if you want to take the easy route and do it your own way and be like Frank Sinatra, do it your own way, okay?
Yeah.
Then do nothing as it pertains to God. Well, hell has open borders, and all welcome, and many shall find that road. And so we're using that language to engage the culture because we never want to preach in the ether. We never want to use language where people can walk away and say, it sounds good, but we have no idea what he's talking about. No, we're going to speak in plain English that people can understand. No, homosexuality still is a sin. Transgenderism doesn't exist. God created them male and female. And so when you speak plain like that, where people can understand, when you use language that they can understand, now you become a target. And now it becomes an issue. But that's what we're called to do. That's what we're called to do. And if a church isn't doing that, then I'm convinced you're not fulfilling your call.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And especially my research focus is progressive Christianity, and I see that all the time is they'll use soft language or different language or something, and it'll be like, okay, this sounds Christian, so I want to, and then you find out that they mean something completely different. It's that's been the story of the church for 2,000 years. Is what we're called to in evangelism is to communicate with people. In order to communicate with people, they have to understand what you're saying. and they have to clearly understand what you're saying. And if they can't clearly understand what you're saying, that's the whole reason we brought the Bible out of Hebrew and Greek, is so that the average person could understand it. So that sounds like an amazing subject, and an amazing mission.
Absolutely.
So on that note, and I was going to ask you why this is important to you, but you've already addressed very clearly, the tendency for the church to cave and, as you said, preach into the ether. Tell us a little bit more about the Christian Emergency League and what this means as a ministry, and where we can learn more about this and what we can learn more about this.
Well, we have a website called ChristianEmergencyLeague.org, ChristianEmergencyLeague.org. And what we're doing, we've been doing it for a while, but now we're ramping it up because it's very needed. Me and a friend of mine, Kelvin Lindstrom, pastor of Church of Christian Liberty, what we're trying to do is I want to be respectful. We're trying to encourage other pastors to speak out into the culture. Well, if darkness is going to recede, then light has to shine in darkness. And then in Paul in Ephesians, he says, not only do you not participate in darkness, you expose it.
Yep.
Most churches and most ministries don't do that because they want to stay on good terms with the world. I don't think you are fulfilling your calling when you do that. So we're encouraging pastors and ministries to be very clear on the gospel and to not back down. Is one of the examples I always use. John the Baptist did not go to jail because he said adultery is wrong. Not why he went to jail. He went to jail because he says, you, O king, should not have your brother's wife. That's why he went to jail. And that's why he lost his head. And too often, people claiming to be Christians and represent Christ are afraid to be that clear. We've been that clear in our community. That's why, people don't like us. But we try to stay respectful. We try to stay we're not arguing for the sake of argument's sake. We will speak truth where truth needs to be spoken. So another thing we did on our sign was, in the month of June, we had one sign that went pretty much the whole month. God resists the proud, but he gives grace to the humble. And we put those words in the backdrop of the rainbow. That's what we did in June. Because again, our culture has designated June as Pride Month, in which we're going to not only accept, but to promote that which God calls an abomination. And so our pushback in love is saying, no, pride is not a good thing, especially not pride in those things. And the truth is, God resists the proud, but he gives grace to the humble. So,
that sounds like an amazing mission. That sounds like an amazing challenge to the church.
Yeah.
And one that we desperately need. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And look forward to seeing you in at this conference. And just as a review, this conference, it's going to be at your church, New Hope Community Church, 1023 East Palatine Road. And this will be August 15th to 16th.
Yep. Look forward to seeing you all.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.